Bismillah walhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala rasulillah. We're in part 2. This verse, part of the verse, Al-Baqarah 163, means وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. Your God is one. If a person understood this, then it would be easy for them to understand that Allah exists without being situated in a place or a direction. So we'll go through it. We talked about it, but we're going to draw it out as like a flow chart. Inshallah. So we say Allah is one. And we don't mean in a numerical sense, but without a partner. Since Allah is one, meaning Allah is the only creator. Everything else is a what? Creation. Space is not Allah. It's a creation. Allah existed before space, without occupying space. After Allah, originated space, originated. Allah did not, as we said earlier, transform, change. Change is a created attribute. And materialize in space. And then at the end, Allah exists without being in a direction or location. Because location and direction are all related to what? Space. Location and direction are all located to space. And Allah Ta'ala isn't dependent upon the creations, doesn't resemble the creations. So this is, I'm reading it out loud. Your God is one. وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. Allah is one, Allah is the only creator. Everything other than Allah is a creation. Space is not Allah, it's a creation. Allah existed before space without occupying space. After Allah originated space, Allah did not transform and materialize in space. Allah exists without being in a direction or a location or space. This is easy. Alhamdulillah for the one whom Allah Ta'ala made their heart sound. Okay. Brothers have any questions up to this?
No.
طيب. Let's continue inshallah. So that's a summary. We establish Allah Ta'ala exists without being in a place. So now let's talk.
I want to write that part.
Okay, I'll erase this.
Yeah,
I already started.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, طيب. Alhamdulillah. So now let's talk about, because this is, again, we learn what? The right belief first, before going into the Quran. Now, let's talk about a problem, because people are trying to read the Quran or reading what they call translations, so-called translations of the Quran. They are not strong in Tawheed, and then they will misunderstand verses. Okay? So this is, we say, what the problem with literalism. So now we'll go through this, because this is why some people who claim to be Muslims think that Allah is situated on the Arsh, or inside the heavens, or beneath Prophet Jesus, alayhi salam. Some people, that's the belief of the Wahhabis. Some, they're not Wahhabis, but they claim to be Muslim. They think Allah is literally in all places, because they misunderstood verses of the Quran and hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what is the rule? So we already talked about the right belief, right? Allah doesn't need or resemble the creation. So what is our first principle? Allah absolutely does not need or resemble any of the creations. This is principle number one. Allah absolutely does not need or resemble any of the creations. Principle number one. Principle number two. The Quran does not contradict itself Principle Principle number 2, the Quran does not contradict itself. What's principle 1?
Allah absolutely does not need or
any of the resemble any of the creation.
No. So, and number 2, the Quran does not contradict itself. If somebody claimed the Quran contradicted himself, he wouldn't be a Muslim. Principle 3, any verse that might give some people the impression that Allah has a shape, form, or location are not taken literally. Location or direction or location are not taken. And by literal here, just to make it a little bit clearer, because in Arabic it's a little bit different. The meaning that might first come to a person's mind, meaning the most common usage of this term. Like in English. Any verse, it says here, any verse that might give some people the impression that Allah has a shape, form, direction, or location are not taken literally, or is not. Any verse is not taken literally. Taking literally should not be taken literally. Because what's our first principle?
Allah absolutely does not need or resemble any of the creation.
No, that's why Jundub ibn Abdullah, he said we learn the matters of Iman before we learn the Quran. Because if somebody just tries to read the Quran without having proper understanding, or we just mentioned the oneness of God, then he will read the Quran and he may misinterpret verses that it will lead to what? Contradicting the belief that Allah absolutely doesn't need or resemble the creations. So principle 1, Allah absolutely doesn't need or resemble the creations. Principle 2, the Quran does not contradict itself. And principle 3, we mentioned that we don't take all the verses literally. This is to summarize this thing. So for the Wahhabis, and this is important to deal with them because you will encounter them. Okay, you will encounter them. That for the Wahhabis, they will say we have to take all of these verses literally. But by taking all the verses of the Quran literally, will contradict what? Principle number 1. But the Wahhabi doesn't understand from the beginning that Allah absolutely doesn't need or resemble the creations. Because again, he thinks God is some type of a form. So that's one problem. So, and then 2, by his taking all the verses literally, it would lead to the Quran contradicting itself. It would contradict principle 1, and it would contradict what? Principle 2. And he does not take all the verses literally himself. You follow? So he contradicts himself on point 1, point 2, and what? And point 3. He doesn't understand Allah doesn't resemble the creations. Really, he says it, but he doesn't want to understand it. Then the way he interprets the Quran and Hadith, it would lead to what? Contradictions. And here, he himself does not take all the verses literally. So now let's go give an example, inshallah. Is this clear up here, brothers? This is a little bit more detailed than what we've covered before.
Okay.
So, alhamdulillah, don't worry. If there's something that's not clear, inshallah, we can explain.
No, I'm gonna ask you. I ain't gonna walk out of dump side.
All right. Don't
Yes,
please,
on it.
please don't.
It might be like this. I ain't gonna do that, bro.
So let's go and
This is the problem with literally. Literalism.
Yeah, no, you cannot take all the verses literally. But what is our basis? It goes back to Allah does not need or resemble the creations. It absolutely doesn't. So that's the basis. The Wahhabi, he's taking some verses literally, then other ones he won't take literally, but his foundation is not sound because he starts from the premise that God is a what? Form and shape. So that's a faulty assumption. Our assumption, alhamdulillah, is not faulty. It's not only is it an assumption because they try to say this is philosophy, but it's not just in our mind that we came up with this principle. Doesn't the Quran say Allah doesn't resemble anything? Then we mentioned Allahu Samad, Allah doesn't need anything. So it's not our opinion. It is from the Quran itself. And we know the Quran does not what? Contradict itself. And the Quran does not contradict the judgment of what? Reason. Do you see? So now let's talk about one term. We'll mention a couple of verses and then show how the Wahhabis, how their claims are absurd. Because if something is contradicting itself, then it can't be true. That's it. That's when they have a witness in court and they get the lawyer, he tries to catch that witness in a what? Contradiction. Which means he lied, trying to catch him in a lie. You said you were here at this place at this time, and then however we have 6 witnesses that say you were at this location at this time. So it can't be that he was in that place and that other place by the norm of things. He couldn't have been in both places. So then they try to catch him what? In a contradiction. No. So let's mention the couple of verses here. This is Al-Baqarah. We're not going to write it all out, but just to show you how they contradict themselves. Al-Baqarah 250. Chapter 2, verse 150. Or just write 150. Al-Baqarah 150. قال تعالى فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله. So we're going to talk about this term wajh.
Is that the first surah in the Quran?
No. Al-Fatiha is the first. Yeah, but after that, yes.
After my problem.
Yeah, it's a long surah. Yeah, it's the longest surah.
Yeah, it's the longest surah, so yeah, I'm back to that.
And we're talking about the term wajh. فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله.
Which? How you pronounce it?
Wajh.
What?
No.
It's face.
The literal meaning. Literally, it means face.
Okay.
Literally. And Al-Qasas 88. And then we'll give you we'll say the literal meaning, explain, and then we'll mention, it's obvious you can't take both of these verses literally. Allah Ta'ala revealed كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٌ إِلَّا وَجْهَهُ. Okay, so this verse, you ready, brothers? You got it? Because you gotta understand, follow. This verse, you don't interpret it this way. If one were to interpret it literally, it would mean wherever you turn is the face of Allah. Wherever you turn is the face of Allah. And this verse here, if one were to take it literally, it would mean that on the day of judgment, everything will be annihilated except the face of Allah. This is the literal meaning. But we're talking about the term what? Wajh. So let's give a sample of some of the meanings from this is a well-known English Arabic dictionary. Now this is not a complete all the meanings, but this is what? A sample of the meanings of the word what? Wajh. So among the meanings, face, that's the first meaning. This is the common meaning of it. Face, countenance, also means face. Front, facade, outside, surface, right side of a fabric, the dial of a clock or a watch, the obverse side of a coin, prominent personality, exterior, looks, appearance, guise, semblance. Let's Direction, you heard that? Intention, intent, design, purpose, aim, goal, objective, end, course, policy, guiding principle, precept, way, manner, mode, procedure, method, reason, cause, sense, meaning, significance, purport, beginning, start, outset, first part of a given period of time, and more.
It's not attributed to Allah.
So you see, it has two meanings. It has a what? Multitude of meanings. So this verse here, if you took it literally, wherever you turn is the face of Allah. The Wahhabis, they believe God is what? Situated above us. But it says wherever you turn is the wajh of Allah. So that would mean if he's looking down, then when he makes sujood, he's facing what? Down to the ground. According to them, if you took the verse, the Wahhabis don't take this verse what? Literally. But they say you have to take the verses literally, but then they flip the script.
When it's okay.
Because they're starting from the premise that God is a form that is situated what? Above. And that's a what? False, invalid, blasphemous assumption. So this verse, wherever you turn, literally, wherever you turn is the wajh of Allah. But we mentioned here, it means the direction for the Qibla when you pray the Sunnah prayer. So this refers to what? Direction of the Qibla in the Sunnah prayer while traveling on the back of an animal. In the Sunnah prayer, while riding an animal. So if you're on the horse, you turn your chest towards the Qibla to open your prayer, Allahu Akbar, and then while you're riding, brothers, the Qibla may be this way, but while you're riding, you can still be doing your Sunnah prayer although you're going this way. Because you're what? Praying the Sunnah prayer while what? Riding an animal. Does it work in a car or on a plane? While riding the animal. So that this verse does not mean wherever you turn is the front part of the head of the Creator. Well, some people may think. Is this clear? But rather the term wajh refers to, as we said, direction. Direction of the what? The Qibla. Not the direction for the Creator, because we said direction does not apply for the Creator. Is that clear? Brother Tariq?
The verse is pertaining to riding the animal.
You don't know it from just reading the verse itself.
Okay.
You need the scholars to explain
and that's
it.
what you just did.
Well, I'm not a scholar, but I'm conveying what the scholar said. But if you just read it in Arabic, you would not know what it means. You would not know it means this.
Okay, got it.
You have to know the circumstances.
Yes, got it.
Because if you just read it, it says wherever you turn is the if you have the right belief, you would read it and it would say wherever you turn is the wajh of Allah. I know Allah does not have a front part of the head, and I know Allah is not in a direction. So I don't know what the verse means, but I know not to take it what? Literally.
Okay.
I'm safe. I don't know what it means. I can't sit here and tell you.
Yes.
But I know that Allah does not have a front part of the head or anything like that. Because Wahhabis say Allah has a face, but not like ours. The face is, the literal meaning of face is the front of the head. So what I know when I say a person who knows Arabic with the right belief, he sees this verse and he says wherever you turn is the wajh of Allah. He knows Allah does not have a front part of the head. He knows Allah is not in a direction. So he says, I don't know what the verse means. I need to ask the people of knowledge. I'm just reciting the Quran. I'm not giving the what meaning. So then he would learn that this was explained by one of the students of the companions, that it has this meaning. Yeah, this was by the scholar named Mujahid, who was a student of Abdullah ibn Abbas. So this has a what? Specific, restricted meaning. And it doesn't mean wherever you turn you can pray in any direction, but only for what? Sunnah prayer while riding on an animal. It has a restriction. So sometimes we said the verses may be revealed, but you don't know the what? Reason for the verse. It's explained in the hadith. Some of the companions will explain, okay, this verse was revealed for this situation.
Therefore, one can't take it literally.
He could not take it literally. He could not even get the meaning. Even if he knows Arabic, just reading the verse with the right belief. He knows that the wajh does not mean face. He knows that, but he can't know the meaning. He can't know by just his intellect. He cannot know the meaning. But in the Arabic language, this is permissible to say that what wajh we said means what? Direction. Didn't we say it means direction? So this is how the scholars explain. Okay, inshallah we'll stop here, then we'll explain Al-Qasas 88 bi-idhnillahi ta'ala.